Welcome to Board Ghost, a story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, but has it been forever?
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experiences. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we will play for you. This night's offering is a continuation of our game of Children of the Fall. This game is currently, or has just wrapped as of last week, on Indiegogo. It is designed by Gareth Graham. So you can probably go check out the Indiegogo to learn more about this game, where you can get your hands on it. So far, so good. I think it's pretty fun. It's a very specific scene. It's pretty dark, though, pretty heavy. So if you want to play post-apocalyptic kids, this is where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So to learn more about how we generate stories playing the game of Children of the Fall, go check out our Children of the Fall primer. Our humble players, myself, John Holt, with me.
Ken Breeze.
I'm Christopher McFarland.
All right. The previously on, I'll just kind of give a quick rundown. We've got my character Penny, one of the two oldest of this small little tribe of 13-ish, now a dozen even. We've got Jacques, the young man who started it all, led us to this graveyard. And we've got Kelvin, the gun-wielding madman, nothing but a swimsuit. No, the innocent 12-year-old who is trying to step in and fill the void.
He does have a handgun, though. That is true.
So far, we've had a rough go of it in the first couple acts, as we have attempted to fortify our base against the oncoming storm. We've got some tensions where the rural tribe kids are getting in on our supplies, and the Fallen are a little more active in our area than we're comfortable with. And we just generally are having a bad go of getting this project of building a well-stocked storm shelter off the ground.
But not only that, we took a prisoner last time around.
Mhm.
There is an interloper
Liam.
amongst us.
Yeah. So we have Liam, one of the spiky hair kids from the rural tribe. We have just kind of found ourselves, everyone's freaking out in the midst of a mini storm, and Amy, recently traumatized from being buried alive, has run off ravening into the storm, and everybody's hollering and crying.
Yep.
It's quite a scene.
Sort of where we left it.
All right. So going into Act 3 now. We got one more act after this Act 3. We'll each have a couple scenes. I guess I'll start us off. I'm going to flash back.
Ooh.
This is Penny a week or two before joining this tribe, before she stepped into this tribe. We are looking at a farmhouse, and the fence around the farmhouse is fortified and tall. It's almost like people cut apart a couple other barns and built up this little fortification, and it's just bristling with kids. As Penny walks up to who's in the scene, myself, we're going to say Liam is there, and his second in command, Billy, is there as well, like up on the parapet, up on the top of this wall, looking out over the gate, where she comes up dragging a couple corpses on a sledge of like dogs, and she has like cat pelts that she's wearing, and she says, she like bangs her spear on the gate and says, "Let me in, I bring food."
She's returned. Good to see you. You did what you said you could do.
Damn right I did.
Open the gates for her.
Yeah, so the gates pull apart. They're like on wheels or something. They're just like barn doors set sideways. And she pulls her sledge in, and she's like looks more tribal and like not the same Penny we've known. Her hair is like long and matted, and she's got like a more feral look in her eye. She pulls this sledge forward and drops it, and like it clatters and sort of like jingles. It's all decorated, and even her like spearhead is decorated with animal tags from like household pets. As she sort of walks through, she sneers because she's getting glances from some of these kids. It's not been that long, relatively, and they're disgusted by it. She's kind of filthy, she stinks, and she's killing house pets. So it's not a good scene for Penny. She comes up to Liam and Billy and drops this like this sledge full of meat and hides and says, "I did what you asked."
Yeah, you did. You did good. You want to get in here with us? You're going to need to cut your hair next. No long hair here.
Fine. She takes like another pair of scissors she has in her belt and just starts like cutting her hair, and lice are just fleeing out of her.
Oh, holy shit.
Billy's like has someone vying for the throne, and she comes up and is like, "We're not going to let in this scavenger, this dirt creature."
She hunted more than any of us could have done since we got here.
Yeah, she does anything we tell her to do.
Yeah, so I'm playing this other woman too. She's dirt. We don't need her. She's filthy.
Yeah, she does stink. Well, what do you think? We got the pelts, we got the meat. You want her out of here?
Put her out. Yeah. So then we kind of go to Penny as the gate sort of slam shut behind her, but she had been like, you see like the kids coming up over the edge, they're bruised, they're beaten. Like it took a bunch of them she's pretty feral and in a bad place here. And she stalks off into the woods again, like shedding off the like throwing the dog tags aside and collecting herself as she like, flees into the woods. And that's when we kind of cut back to the scene. We're inside the chapel. The storm's raging. The door is slamming in the wind. And she stands up in front of Liam, hefts like his knife now.
Mm-hmm. I knew it. I knew you weren't strong enough to be with us. You had to come and live with these babies.
And she leans down and like brandishes the knife closer to him and cuts his bonds. Says, "If you're so strong, survive the storm," and pushes him out into the night as she also starts heading out to find Amy. And that's putting the tribe at risk. So she's now activated trouble.
In our next scene, I think it'll be the three of us. We're in the haven. It is the day after the storm. It's a mess. Branches everywhere, debris everywhere. The hole we dug is now filled up with water and is basically like a mud pool. Just sort of not really worth.
Like a coffin floating in it.
Yes, exactly.
Poltergeist style.
Exactly. Everyone is feeling really stressed out. No one slept very well, but the person who's feeling the most stressed out right now is this baby that we have amongst us. The one person who really knew how to take care of babies, Sally, was eaten by the Fallen a few weeks ago now, a month ago, who knows how long. And sort of we've been really trying to figure out how to like deal with this infant. It's hard, and I don't think the infant is actually doing super well. We're gathered around as the ostensible leaders of this tribe to figure out what's next here. She's losing weight. I don't. We need to find her food, or maybe we need to find a book on how to take care of babies. What do we do?
I mean, we're barely keeping it together. I mean, Amy's holding on by a thread at this point, and she's what, like 10, 11? So I don't know. I just don't know what we can do for a baby. Sally was real good with her. I don't know how to deal with this.
Well, Sally used to find formula in the cars, right?
Yeah. We keep having to go further and further to find cars that we haven't checked.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do that, but...
Well, it needs soft food, right? So if there's not formula, then we could chew up food, maybe?
Maybe or we need to do another food run and go get. I mean, we did okay with those supplies, but the spiky-haired kids aren't shopping for a baby. Like most of those supplies were, food that we can use.
So you're saying we just let it starve?
Can't that.
I don't know. It's really sad, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what we can do for it. We could maybe try to find. I don't know. I don't know if it's sick. I don't know.
It seems sick. It's always crying.
I think our best bet is...
We don't even know her name. His name?
I think our best bet's to go... We have to go into the city and go to, like, pharmacy.
Okay. Who's going to do that?
We can't leave all the little kids alone again. We used to leave them with Sally, but now Gregor isn't talking and Amy's a mess. One of us has to stay.
Or we could get in one of the hearses and try driving in.
I think I could drive one.
If we all go together, that's really kind of it, right?
I could try.
Your sister didn't teach you how to drive? She's the one who got me in the school bus.
I know a little bit. I drove the tractor. I think I could drive one. I just don't know if the way is clear. we don't know what we're going to run into.
If we're all together, we can make it. If we're all together in the bus, we can make it.
Okay. You want to take the bus? We're going
Or the
to find the bus.
Can we all fit in the hearse?
I think I don't know if we can all fit in the hearse, but we could try to take 2 of them.
We need someone else to drive then. I think we could put everybody in the back, but then no one's here.
Well, why don't we see who thinks they can stay? Why don't we leave it up to them? We'll bring the youngest with us.
Okay, cool.
Is that where we're at?
I guess so.
All right.
You guys could have thrown some complications on there. I was ready.
I don't
I didn't think of one.
It's
The
complicated.
baby throws up.
Scene 3, we are in the city. We have successfully driven into the city. We passed some fallen, but our car was able to sort of smash through them and move on.
Yeah.
It helps that the wind's been whipping up too, and that another storm is coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that keeps them inside.
Right.
That's true.
Right. So we've made our way to the outside of the pharmacy. There is a steel curtain sort of in front of the doors, but the front door we can see is open, but the curtain is pretty low to the ground. We can see it's a pharmacy because of the sign, and Kelvin volunteers, being the smallest of the big kids, to go in with a flashlight, our only flashlight, and try and find the formula. He thinks he knows what it looks like. His dad was a pediatrician, so yeah. He says, "Okay, so I'm gonna go under, and if you see the light flash twice, that means I'm in trouble. So someone should come get me. Okay."
Okay.
All right. Just remember, don't use the gun unless you absolutely have to. Flash the light first.
Right. Yeah.
We don't want to make any noise that can draw them.
But we'll keep the car running so you can run out and get in the car real quick and we can drive away.
Okay.
Quiet down, guys back there. Shh.
All right. Kelvin has the gun in his baggy pocket. He has the flashlight in front of him, and he gets on his belly and starts to wriggle forward underneath the door. And he comes into a pharmacy, pitch black. Shelves are toppled over. Some of it's been looted. He starts flashing his light around the store, antacids, magazines, mouthwash. He makes his way towards the section he thinks might be right. There's
As he's shining his flashlight around, runs it over what looks like a weird conglomeration of like gray matter that has been stuck together somehow on one of the walls and one of the corners of the ceiling, as he's realizing that there's a bunch of hornets in here. And a hornet nest. Seems like they've taken refuge here from the storms.
Okay, so he sees the hornet nest. He knows that spells potentially big trouble. He tries to continue moving past the diapers
Towards the bug spray. Sorry.
towards where he thinks the formula is, like a crate that he thinks is the formula, and he's going to try and reach and pull it out without making a noise. Might disturb the hornets.
Yeah, you're the only one succeeding today, Christopher. You're the only one.
Beginner's luck. So he does. So he grabs the box, and it is formula, and he slowly backs up towards the front of the store.
Yeah, and he turns, and there's a figure silhouetted against the door. Between standing there with what little light is coming through, this figure is silhouetted, crouched and staring at him, and you can see like
an adult
dripping
form
drool on the ground.
And Kelvin attempts to lower formula and to click the light twice.
And don't forget that you have your determination die too. I think.
Yes.
roll
Why don't I
You
go ahead and
use
use that here?
Okay.
Seven. You also have a helix if anyone wants to use a helix.
Oh, does that automatically make it a success? I thought it automatically made it
Either
a
way.
failure. Oh, it goes either way.
Either way.
There's an issue with noise from behind you and an
Yep.
issue with noise at large.
Yep.
Right. But I think he clicks that light, and it just nothing happens. It's just nothing. And he reaches in his pocket,
Crouches lower.
and he flips off the switch, and he takes aim at the center mass and fires. And he fires and the thing until it falls over.
Yeah, it's still like, it comes towards him as the last like as you're clicking.
Click, 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 click,
And he
click, click.
dives for the underneath to get underneath that curtain, the metal curtain.
Yeah, followed by a wave.
By a
of,
wave
like,
of
angry
hornets. A wave of
we
angry
hit-
hornets. Let's see if he gets stung.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and the door flings open of the hearse, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Benny's like, Calvin, quick! Zzz, and you start to hear as the city awakens.
Yay!
So Kelvin makes it through. He feels a sting on his leg, but he pulls out with the formula, runs to the car, throws it in, and he says, "Scoot over, Benny!" And he jumps into the passenger seat. And
Drive! The hearse takes off.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fallen is just swarmed
Yeah.
by hornets as the is bleeding out.
Act 4. We're driving back. The wind is whipping around the car. We are actually all pretty elated.
Yeah.
Everyone's in the scene.
Yeah.
All there's probably like 7 of us in this car crammed in there. Most of it's a little more than half of our tribe. And you're driving.
I am.
Gregor actually has the baby and is feeding it,
Hmm.
and it's finally like stopped crying. It's not like hollering and crying. It's just eating formula, being a fed baby, and we're all like pretty high on life. Things are good.
I put a tape in. Girlfriend in a coma. I know.
It's CBS. So yeah, we're
Good
driving.
God,
We're just driving back on to home base with a
Yep.
hearse full of happy kids and a
Mhm.
successful run.
Happy baby.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we see there is a spike trap laid out in front of the car's wheels, maybe about 15 yards ahead of us.
All right.
I mean, maybe we should just drive somewhere else. Maybe it's just time
Penny
that
says,
we sort of leave.
Look out!
What? Skirt!
So yeah,
Pop,
the
pop.
car hits the hearse hits this
Yeah, the wheels.
sideways, starts rolling.
Oh, no,
Oh.
hearse flips.
Yeah,
It starts
flips.
rolling.
It rolls. Then
Because I
then it's just
jackknife
like
it.
on its head, spinning out as it slowly comes to a stop. Gregor is the first to kind of uncurl, and we see the baby still, like he's upside down, but in the seatbelt, and the baby's still eating the bottle, and the rest of us, like we're all focused on that moment. And a lot of the kids are kind of rubbery. They're young at this age. Like everybody is okay. Because like the 3 of us, you were like in the center at this point. So me and Jock like got banged on the sides pretty good.
Yeah.
You got bounced, but I think Kelvin's okay.
Yeah,
like, relatively.
there's probably some shattering glass, so we've been lacerated a
Mhm.
bit on arms or face or
Scratches, yeah.
scratches.
Yep.
So there's blood, definitely,
and
but not like
that's
gushing.
before we can get our breath and little kids are whimpering. The car doors are wrenched open as they can be, and one just kind of falls off and clatters.
Mhm.
And there stands Liam, and next to him his like lieutenant Veronica,
Yep.
and she looks over at Penny and goes, "It's her, dirty pet killer. These are the ones who killed Billy." And Liam points at Gregor, and they start pulling Gregor out of the car.
Leave him alone! Ah! I'm sort of like trying to disentangle myself and trying to get on my feet.
Yeah, Penny's shaken. She like laceration on the head, bruised, like her eyes kind of part closed. She goes, "Kelvin, just stay small. Me and Jock will take care of this." And she unlatches her seatbelt and kind of lets the arms pull her out of the car.
Yeah, Jacques wasn't wearing a seatbelt. He's definitely a scofflaw, and I think that's sort of why he got pretty beat up in this wreck. He's trying to get to his feet. I mean, he's sort of like looking up at the door that got tore off. And so, yeah, he's sort of like trying to crawl out after Penny, who's being dragged out. He just comes out like a bat out of hell. Like he's just trying to pop out of there and just jump on somebody or do
Yeah.
something.
There's some older kids.
Yep,
like
and they're ready.
17-year-old kid just
Yep.
kind of get you by the collar
Mm-hmm.
and is like, but these like big farm boys
Mhm.
are just like, no.
Mhm.
Penny gets to her feet and it's like, "Liam, we let you go. Let us go. Come on. Let us be."
Liam turns to Veronica and he says, "Well, they did let me go." And then Veronica starts like sort of exhaling through her nose and kind of kind of jerking her head, and she starts to, her mouth, the corners of her mouth start coming up in a rictus of a smile. She just lunges at
She turned!
Yeah, Penny's like, Liam, look out, she's going over. Penny, her captors scatter.
Right.
And she braces herself as Veronica leaps at her, and they start rolling on the ground. And she's holding Veronica at bay as best as she can. She's like tearing at her arms. And Liam, help me, help! And as Veronica is just ravening and mad. And
Yeah, Liam is sort of stock still for a second. Thankfully, Jacques is not, as he leaps down, using Liam's knife to try and plunge it right into Veronica's back.
that goes over. Like she falls, clutching at her back. She's like spasming.
Yeah,
because you've cut something.
yeah,
Her
cut
legs
something,
are kind of
yeah.
wild. And
She's so strong, she throws me basically back off of her even. So she's just sort of
Yeah.
on her back, spasming on the ground.
so that's Penny's like, Liam, you don't look, and hefts up a pair of scissors.
Liam says, don't you fucking touch her. He picks up a brick from the ground and he chucks it at your head.
All right,
Ooh.
that's what Penny's like. No, Liam. The brick hits Penny's like square, kind of where she had been hit in the eye,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes spinning. The scissors fly out of her hands, and she lands in Veronica's arms, and it just starts
Ooh.
tearing her apart and
No!
biting at her neck. And you can only watch as in her death throes.
Oh.
Penny is devoured by the dying Veronica on the ground.
With his innocence completely lost, Kelvin stands up and reloads the gun and kills Liam.
Last clip. He goes down.
And I think that's scene.
I think that's
Yeah.
it. We are back at the Haven, and we're having a funeral for Penny.
Yeah.
And we're burying her. Where everyone's there. There's still the storm on the horizon, like it's coming. We see it. But we're like, this is way more important. And so I think that there's a lot of like torches here, and sort of like it has that sort of air of ritual about it,
Mm-hmm.
where there's maybe even possibly some sort of like chanting that's going on, either like a sort of a pseudo Judeo-Christian hymn, but not really, sort of mixed with sort of Buddhist chanting. Like there's just this, it's very organic. Like we don't really even know what
There's
we're
sort of like this
doing.
choral in the round, like girlfriend in a coma.
Yeah, we're singing Girlfriend in a Coma as the dirge.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
we're
no.
saying that as the
there's
funeral
actually
dirge.
some like spiky-haired kids who, with their leaders dead, have
Mhm.
followed you back to this,
Yes.
to the
Yeah,
haven.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Veronica is dead.
Mhm.
Billy's dead. Liam's dead. Maybe some of those other spiky-haired kids are here. We don't really know their names yet. But one of them maybe has sort of stepped up, named Esmeralda, who goes by Essie maybe for short or something like that. She's here with a few others. Jacques is saying, we have to keep going. Everything that's happened, she wanted to protect you from it. She wanted to protect all of us. And I wish I could have been as good as she was at anything, but I'm not. We're not. But we got to try.
Gregor says, she was weak. She was weak. She let him go, and it caused her death. We need to be strong, not weak like her.
Jacques is sort of yelling out to respond to that forcefully and say, she's the strongest person I ever knew. You didn't. She cared, and she protected us. But it's pretty clear Kelvin's reaction. Kelvin's closer than everyone else in the tribe in age. I think people have really been starting to look at him
So
as
what
sort
is
of this
what
like
is Kelvin's
this
reaction?
new leader. Exactly. What is Kelvin?
Kelvin says, Penny, she was strong. She brought us food, but she let Liam go, and that was a mistake. That was from the old world. We have to defend ourselves. We have to be strong, and when we turn 17, we have to die, just as Penny died, and Liam. That is her legacy.
And I think that's when all like the younger kids, 11, 10, 11, 12, 9, however they are, old they all take out these shivs and turn on the spiky-haired kids who are here, the older ones. And it gets violent.
That's our scene.
That's our scene.
Our last scene, a year later, it's Jacques' birthday, and Jacques and Kelvin and Amy and Gregor are still with the baby, or I guess a toddler now. Gregor is sort of off to the side with the toddler, and Amy and Kelvin and Jacques are standing by the water. Kelvin has a wrapped paper parcel that's been cooked over a fire, and he unwraps it. In lieu of a birthday cake, he offers you his cooked fish for your meal. And he says, thank you for all you've done. You and your sister saved my life.
You're welcome. I'm scared. I don't want to do this, but I know I have to.
Imagine how much worse it will be if you don't.
No, I don't. You got to keep this going, Kelvin. You have to make sure that baby grows up.
She will. She will be so strong, and she will remember your name, and she'll remember Penny, and she'll remember your sister.
Well, I thought this is what I wanted, to sacrifice myself for the Gravers. Guess I get my wish.
We all return to the grave.
We all return to the grave. And he eats the fish and I think just sort of slowly passes away from the poison that's inside of it.
Yeah, he eats the poison.
He eats the poison.
And goes into the water.
Yes,
as is
exactly.
the
Like to
ceremony,
walk in.
and,
Exactly.
and to be carried away.
Mhm.
Downstream, the shock of the water, his fear of being unable to swim,
Mhm.
and like just sort of paddling, he's vomited up the poison.
Ah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he comes
nerves.
crawling out, like having come that much closer to death, and looks up the embankment. You know, he's come downstream a good ways, and
Ugh.
you've cheated death.
After going through the ceremony and going into the water, no one ever knew I was super afraid of swimming or whatever. Like the consequences of seeing the ritual fail.
Kelvin will say, Jacques, what? I thought you were ready.
I want to see this roll.
Nope.
And Jacques turns to say something, and that's when the rictus grin just comes over him.
Ugh.
We're separated by the river. I can't get to you. And so Jacques simply lopes off into the forest.
And Kelvin says, he has betrayed us, and he has betrayed the grave.
Let's do one last like a fact about I think we need a wrap up.
Okay.
So maybe we think for a second, and then each of us will say like one truth about what happens to this haven in the future.
Sure.
We don't know how long has passed. A nomadic tribe of children with hand print paint adorning their body come upon a moldering, overgrown cemetery, and they're picking their way through it, and they see these shrines made of skulls, and in each skull is marked XVI, and they don't know what that means. This is a curiosity, and they stay for a night, and the wind howls through the catacombs, and they leave before daybreak and tell another wandering tribe that they come upon to be clear of that place. It is a cursed place.
The small tow path that was a creek and turned slowly now over time into a river that has just eroded away much of the cemetery. So almost half of it has sort of fallen into the river. It's just this large, large river now. Those who use the river for trade or for travel recognize the cursed place as well, calling it a grave's beginning.
Over time, the chapel, too, collapses due to disrepair. The fences and the hearses rust. Sometimes, in the dark, flickers of light come from the pyramid-shaped tomb. A soft voice sings a lullaby.
That our story ends. We will return again with a new tale to spin to dare to entertain. I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho and on Instagram at board_ghost. You can find my media review podcast at newdshow.com. You can find my book club podcast at woundandstab.com. Ken, where can people find you?
Well, Board Ghosts, you can find me, Ken Breeze, all over the interwebs. Find me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. You can see my DM stylings. I am a concierge dungeon master in the New York City area. Hire me to run your games.
All right. And Chris, where can people find you?
Well, I am not on the social media, but you can see me in Jessica Jones Season 2, Episode 1.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for
Thanks.
coming
It
on.
was a blast.
Thank you
Really a
guys for having
blast.
me.
Really,
Yeah.
really
It was-
happy
it
to have you on.
was,
This is great.
Very fun first experience.
And none of us had ever played this game before, so you guys, you're really hearing this. None of us have played this game before. Just in case it's unclear, we did use a few die rolls here with the rules, but mostly it's just pieces of paper and some poker chips and pens. That's really all we're using.
Yeah.
It's really straightforward. Great game.
Yeah. So to learn more about the players and engine in our story, visit boardghost.com. You can attempt to pierce the veil and contact us at BoardGhostWorld on Twitter. Shout out through the ether if you have desires we can fulfill. Leave reviews and comments on iTunes, your preferred listening portal. Please take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest episodes. episodes. We'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find out more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or his band's website, hotelsandhighways.com. Oh, you can also help us out on Patreon. You can support the show, becoming one of our patrons, a fellow collaborator, and you'll get access to episodes early, some exclusive how to play videos, and some art. So go check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/boardghost. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they are consumed, the truer they become.
Dying don't agree with me.